and welcome to the Invention Licensing Show. I'm your host, David Fedewa, and I'm here to help you license your product. And today we're going to be talking about how many no's before you drop the project. So I wanted to jump right into it. So this is a question I get quite often, and the reason I wanted to touch on this is because I had a student long ago. His name was Jonathan, and he was pitching a product, and what he did was he was wasting his time. And I don't want any inventor to waste their time. I want them, because in this business you hear a lot about perseverance. You got to push through and you got to work hard, but some of that work is just not valuable or value add work. It becomes busy work, it becomes a grind, and it doesn't add value to your project. And let me give you context to Jonathan. This was years ago. He started working on a project, and he watched all these YouTube videos, and he's like, all right, this is how to do it. And so he went out and started pitching his product, and he got no's, and he kept calling, kept pitching. He kept getting all these no's, and he got up to the point where he got, I think it was between 60 and 70 no's. And that's when he became my student. I was like reviewing all of his information, and he's like, this is what I've done, this is where I'm at, this is what I've accomplished. And I was like, whoa, like, stop, like, this is enough. You've gone essentially too far with this project. You've wasted a lot of time. And for any of you that are pitching, like, you don't just call a company and pitch your product and they just email you back and say no. Like, you've got to follow up, you've got to send them emails, and it's not an easy process to just even get one no. And so what he had done was quite a bit of work to get to that point of 70 no's. And I said, this is too much. Once you get to about a dozen and a half, so 12 to 18 no's, usually the market is gonna just duplicate itself on top, no matter how many more times you get it. So once you get that 18 or so no's, the next 18 companies you call, it's gonna be the same answer, typically. And the reason I say that is because there's not always just straight no. There's no, but, or there's we're interested, but, and then it turns into a no. And so if you're just getting companies that email you back or come back to you and say, not gonna work, then usually if you get that 12 to 18 times, that's a project you wanna drop. But if you're getting a project that they're saying, this is interesting, but we can't move forward with it, then that means they're interested in the benefit, but they're not necessarily seeing how you're pitching the product. And so, or they're not, they look at your product as a concept, not as a product that's licensable. And that's where you need to dig in. And you need to find out more about why they're saying no. I call that the yellow brick road. When you pitch a product to a company and they're like, we're interested, we like this, but. That but is where you're gonna find your licensing deal. And all of the products that I've licensed have gone through this process. I pitch the product, they say we're interested, but. And then they give me this opportunity to figure out what that is and go fix it. And so that's where I want you to be as an inventor, product developer, moving yourself towards licensing your own innovations, is you get in there, you pitch your product, you get no's. That's the only thing that's guaranteed in this business, is you'll get a no. Even if you have the greatest innovation ever, there's no's that are gonna show up your way because they just don't fit into the company's product profile. And so it's those companies that say that this is interesting, but, and then finding out why. So where I do a reevaluation is when I get between that 12 and 18 no's, I sit down and I say, all right, what's the responses that I've gotten? And I try to take it in a very analytical way, right? I put them in front of me in writing or via email. So I read through them and I say, are these just no's, like they're not interested in the benefit that I'm pitching? Or are they interested in the benefit, just not my delivery? And this is one that, put a gold star next to this, take notes on this one. I've had students that they got no's, but they weren't no's like, we don't like the benefit. It's things like, we don't think that the market is big enough. And so one of my students all they did was change their pitch. They didn't change the product whatsoever. Same exact product, they just changed their marketing material so that it encompassed a bigger market. And the company's like, yeah, this does work for us. I've had products where it was literally just a change in marketing material that got my product licensed. And so that's where like your real gold is. So when you do that reevaluation process, when you hit the 12 to 18 no's, you can evaluate that and say, this is a product that can move forward, but we're not necessarily gonna get anywhere with the present state in which it's in. You either need to change the product or the pitch. And so at that reevaluation, decide which one needs to be changed and make the changes and then move forward. Don't go pitch another 18 and another 18 until you get to 70 no's, because you're just gonna continue to get the same answer over and over again, and that's where inventors waste a lot of time. So make a reevaluation between 12 and 18 negative responses and decide if it's something worth changing, change it. If it's not, drop it and move on and move to your next project. I hope you loved that episode of License Your Invention with David Fedewa. As you know, I'm always here to help you license your product. If you're going to license your product, do subscribe now to the channel. I'm putting out videos and content on how to get your products licensed. So do join in. I love people subscribing to the channel. And also check out inventtribe.com for more information. My next video, these are things that I really like about the process, and so I love sharing them with people. I consider this the nuts and bolts versus head and heart, or I should say nuts and bolts of like execution, or the head and the heart. How do you get that heart motivated and focused on the right things to get yourself moving forward, and what are the nuts and bolts of licensing? So I'm going to talk about those two different things to keep yourself motivated and the what to do of bringing your product to market.